Good afternoon, all. On behalf of Professional Development Committee, I welcome you all for seventh session. Today is the Saptami, and we are conducting seventh session of our Navratri celebration, empowering women's strength and resilience. Today, our ma'am is CMA Malti Sriram. She is today's faculty, and she will be dealing with delegation skill to enhance empowermentship. So, I request Arpita ma'am to kindly introduce.
Thank you, ma'am. Very good afternoon, everyone. ICMA Arpita Pegde Coordinator, welcome you all on the occasion of 7th day of Navratri celebration on behalf of WRC team. I'm thankful to the WRC team and staff for organizing this wonderful session. We are grateful to our speaker, CMA Malti Sriram ma'am, for her presence. We are grateful to, I thank all the attendees for your active participation. The seventh form of Navratri is dedicated to goddess Kalratri, who is regarded as one of the destructive forms of goddess Durga. On this day, devotees wear royal blue, a color that symbolizes richness, tranquility, and depth. The color reflects the powerful yet calming nature of Ma Kalratri. So today we have with us one of such personalities who exhibit these qualities, our speaker Malti Sriram ma'am. She is a professional with 30 years of experience, having rich experience in field, also in-depth knowledge in areas of financial planning, analysis, financial controlling, transactional accounting, IFRS, due diligence, mergers and acquisition, executive dashboards, treasury management, direct and indirect taxation, due diligence, risk assessment, governance, and process optimization. And she's also a strategic partner to CEO. She's currently working with Envalier LPM Private Limited, formerly known as Lanzex Performance Materials India Private Limited, as a director and country finance head. Let us see her key highlights in profession. She is a senior finance leader with more than 2 decades of diverse progressive experience in handling various facets of financial operations, including strategic decision making, financial planning, business controlling, accounting, audit.
Arpita, I think it's all good. Yeah, it's too much. So it's fine. That's only for, what I chair to the institute, and it's fine, yeah. I prefer
Yes,
being a bit
she's
modest and humble. It's okay.
actually okay. So I think my words may not be enough to introduce her. So I request her that you please go ahead with the session. We welcome this royal lady on our forum. So Malti ma'am, please take over the session.
Yeah. Just share my screen. So good evening, all. Good evening, all, and welcome to the seventh day of the auspicious Navratri, which is such a wonderful. I don't want to call it as a ritual or a celebration. It's something that we need to take pride of. Being an Indian, a country that comes with so much rich heritage, culture, so much of science, so much of meaning to every event or celebration, yeah, whatever you may call it. I will start with a small story related to Navratri, and maybe few of you already know about this story, but I will not make it a very long one, but I'll just try to concise it because it in a way correlates to the topic that we are all, going to take up today. So there were these two demons named Shumba and Nishumba who were playing havoc in the Devalok. Devalok, as the name suggests, many of us may already know it's the heaven, is the abode of many gods. And when Shumba and Nishumba were constantly coming there playing havoc, it was too difficult for any of the devas individually or collectively to, uh, destroy them or destruct them. So what they all thought is go to Goddess Shakti. She's the power of the universe, the creator, and the energy. Like she's the urja and the energy behind the entire universal force. But when they reached out to her, Even her energy alone would not suffice. So what was decided among by various deliberation and discussion was that all the gods would give their power to her, their weapons to her. So basically, goddess Shakti, we know her by different names: goddess Kali, goddess Durga, goddess Sharada. Yeah, name by we call the same Devi by different names in different parts of India and at different times of the calendar. So she took away the tejas from their face. I don't know the real English word for tejas because generally for many Sanskrit or Indian languages, there is no real equivalent in English. Yeah. So tejas is tejas. Probably you can use the word aura, something very close to tejas, from all the faces of the gods. And she also took away all the weapons. So apparently, all the goddess gave away their tejas, their weapons, and by giving away their powers, they were all stand still. So they all stood in a position the way they gave the aura, the weapon. Lord Vishnu gave the gada this way, and probably he was standing like this. And Mahavishnu gave his another weapon. He was standing in the same fashion. And that's how this goddess Durga or Durga or Kali, she had all of all the gods. And then she went very bold and courageous, very confident to destruct Shumba and Nishumba. And she was indeed victorious. That is why the depiction of Kali in East, you can see her that way. Now, correlating this to our topic, what did all the gods do when they gave away their sages, their weapons to goddess Kali? They indeed empowered her. Do you think the gods are not sufficient enough to handle? All of them have their own set of strengths. Indra is probably another strength, Vishnu has another strength, Mahavishnu has another strength, Shiva has another strength. But all of them pulled together and they empowered one person whom they feel already has the power of the universe and then delegated that task to her. And she was indeed victorious, emerged victorious by destroying Shumba and Nishumba. So I take this empowerment topic from the Navratri theme and we go to the core topic for which we are all assembled here today. So I'm sure you are able to understand the correlation of the short story. And I'm sorry for those people in the forum who are already aware of the story. May not be, there are different versions to the story, but this is a version that I have heard and I really correlate this version to empowerment and delegation. So coming to the specific topic, while we have few of us here, yeah, I would just like to know from any one of you. I've just spent a couple of minutes to break the ice. I want to hear from few of you. What do you mean by delegation? Like, feel free, and there is no right thing, no wrong thing. It's just we are all here to learn from each other, including me. Anyone who wants to speak on what is delegation? So I take the silence as no one wants to answer the question. Sakshi ma'am,
Delegating is just subletting your work for a better performance.
great. Anyone else? So maybe I'll just move to the. Anyone else wants to speak?
Yes, giving your work, which is repetitive in nature, to a subordinate, so that you should not spend your valuable time for that. You can concentrate on the important tasks.
Perfect. That's also an equally very good answer. So I'll just go to my presentation now. Are you all able to see my screen well? Are you all able to see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So I have just created very few slides because I wanted to make the session a bit more participative more interactive, and it need not be a, a monologue. I want it to be a dialogue. Okay. And feel free to raise your hands anytime and, ask a question. So when I'm sharing the screen in the presentation mode. I am not able to see the participants around. Okay. And if you raise hand, please feel free to just speak up, interrupt me, call out, shout out, and then we speak. So we go to the first point, what we need to understand when we say delegation. Is delegation about just allocating tasks? So it's not about just allocating tasks. Yes, we already had someone answer the question that delegation means, we can hand over the repetitive work to some other person, which is definitely very close to what I'm going to say now. So I would like to just mention here that delegation is not like, passing the buck or just shedding away from your responsibility. So you're still responsible, you're still accountable. But when we say delegation, what we want to actually do is we want to really identify what are the tasks that are really meaningful, which can help my team perform better. Yeah. Sometimes you may not even have a team, you may have internal stakeholders as well. Okay. So what is it that I can delegate, which need not be even repetitive in nature, but it is something that it can also help the individual take ownership, perform, and feel more empowered. So it is not just giving a repetitive task or a mundane work. It is also going a step beyond. Maybe you start the delegation by giving a repetitive work, but it doesn't end there. It is also about you go a step further. Maybe after a few months, you want to really understand the same person to whom you have delegated is also doing the same repetitive work, but the person has the potential to do something better, and then just take a step forward and give something different and better, which is not really routine in nature. Okay. So from here we move on. Why delegation is the key. Yeah. So we have understood what is delegation, because for me to even tell you why delegation is required, I need all of you to understand what delegation actually means, which is why I have put the why after the concept of delegation. So why delegation is the key? See, there are ways, either you delegate or you do all the work yourself. If you do all the work yourself, what happens? When we do all the work ourselves, it is the fastest and the easiest way to burn out. So I'm sure none of us want to burn out, right? So today we hear this word burnout very often. I'm stressed. I'm already burned out. I'm already burnt out. Like I feel already I worked for, 8 years while I've only started my career 5 years ago. So these are things that we hear very often. The reason why we do not want to delegate is we feel, okay, we can do everything. And these are the tasks that have been given to us by our superior, by our peers, by our stakeholders, by probably some other functional heads and so on. And we want to impress upon the other person who has given us the work, and we want to do everything ourselves. So, but that's not what we want. So delegation is about identifying the task, what you can delegate, and not doing everything yourself. So what is the first step? The first step for delegation is you should know what to delegate. While, see, all these points are in a way interlinked. I'm not going to say that everything is, independent or individualistic points. There is a lot of interdependency. At the same time, each bullet or each point here also has a key message, which I really want all of you to take home as a message from this session. So the first step is knowing what do you really want to delegate. So it's not that you want to offload all the tasks that you don't enjoy. Sometimes you may be doing a very strategic work. You may still not enjoy doing that, because some people, they enjoy strategic work. Some people, they enjoy mundane work. Some people want a mix of both. So it is not about delegating what you don't enjoy. It's identifying what exactly you want to delegate. So here comes a very tricky thing, and certainly it's so unique, you know. So when we say we need to identify what to delegate, it's important that what to delegate and who is your team member. So you may have a team of 2 people, you may have a one. So you have a line manager and only one team member whom you can delegate. You could have a team of 5. Yeah. And every individual is so unique in their own strength, in their own weaknesses, in their own approach. And especially when you have a large team. Yeah. So really the joy comes when you have an absolutely diverse team, and we need to identify each member's unique strength and unique weakness. So which means there is a set of basket of tasks at hand, and then you need to identify the talent. So specific to my case, I also interact with my direct reports. I interact with one level below, because it's also important to connect with everyone and understand each one's strength and what is it that they will look up to. Where do they derive satisfaction from? Identifying what they're really good at. So I know people who are probably very fresh, 1 or 2 years from the work ex perspective, but excellent and very good in communication, both verbal and written. So I probably can really use their talent to communicate to other stakeholders. Yeah, probably I would like to draft a communication to some other team. So that gives immense satisfaction, and the person really feels, oh, I'm really valued. So matching the task and the talent within the team is a very critical thing. And this is purely based on the dynamics of your organization, your individual team, and your own particular functional domain. Probably in the finance organization or in the commercial organization, you may be part of a bigger team and the dynamics could be different. So you have to identify this based on your individual organization and the domain. So the next specific point, when we say, we talk about clarity of instructions, but at the same time, room for creativity. I don't know how specifically you all would, correlate. No, you're trying to see that, I'm saying that instructions are to be given, but still be creative. Do we have to give instructions, or do we let them be fully creative? So what we need to do, given the matching of the talent and the task, which is a step which precedes this, you already identify. So you have a team with 2 years work ex, 20 years work ex, a very, very senior person who's very good in the system knowledge, in the process, but who really is bored of doing the routine work. But he is very good in his knowledge. And you can tell the person with 20 years of experience, see, you're very good at the process knowledge. Just give the instructions to XYZ team member. Just give a broader picture and ask them to bring in their own creativity. And when they reach out to you, do guide them. At the same time, please do not micromanage, because this person with 20 years experience, he is so much into the detail. He is already aware of the minutest topic in the organization, in the people. So he may have the urge to micromanage, but his team members are new. And if he starts micromanaging, then the other person's creativity is actually lost. What was happening in the organization for 10 years, 15 years may not be the best way. So you give the instructions with a broader outline. At the same time, let them be creative. For example, you may tell them, like, this task is entrusted to you. These are the broader guidelines. You may do this task in 5 days, but let's say after 2 days or 3 days, if you want to connect with me for some guidance, feel free to reach out to me. That's how you give instruction and also create the room for creativity. So this is a very wonderful hashtag. Trust is a two-way street. And while we say we talk about delegation, and we all are all along thinking that it's going to be one way, definitely not. It is indeed a two-way street. It's a two-way dialogue. It's a two-way communication. Yeah, I know I have seen people around who just tell their subordinates, just take this and you need to do this in the next 2 days. I don't care. How do you do? Yeah. That's a one-way monologue. It's not even a dialogue. Yeah. It's a monologue. So in case of delegation, what do we really have to do? We need to trust the person whom you're delegating. And the recipient of the task who's going to execute also needs to trust the delegator of the task. So both of them have to come together, trusting each other without any bias, without any suspicion, yeah, without any doubt in their minds, and speak with an open heart. So, which is where the person who has received the task on hand feels absolutely valued and empowered. So you talk to your team member or any of the larger team, they may not be your direct reports. You talk to them and you tell them that, okay, see, this is what it is. I really need your support. And I feel that you are pretty talented. You have the knowledge, you have the competency, you have the expertise to do it. And definitely, the person feels so valued, so gratified, and absolutely empowered. And this dialogue makes the person feel a sense, makes the person think, yes, I am being valued in the organization and I need to really contribute. So when I'm delegating and the person who's taking the delegated task also feels that they are doing something different than what they have been doing. So this brings in more creativity, more freshness to your task, and the person feels largely rejuvenated. At this point in time, I would like to take a pause and any of you want to ask any questions? Feel free. Otherwise, I proceed to the next slide. Anyone for any questions?
Ma'am, you talked about trust with your juniors,
Yeah.
but with the trend of new generation about the attrition, we
Mhm.
train them and they just leave the organization very soon.
Mhm.
And they are just looking for new things, new opportunities. So, how
Mhm.
can we do our delegation with the employees who are not loyal with the organization? They're just looking for more better opportunities in their profession.
Yeah. So, see, I fully understand where you're coming from. This is a challenge. Most of the young generation, they are into making fast bucks. They are not really into gaining knowledge. And of course, I also want to, say that not everyone is. While most people are, the peer pressure is so much, they try to see their friends, their colleagues, their peers, their contemporaries, and they feel that, okay, this person is already getting, 20 lakhs per year in the first year of his work ex, and I should also start looking for opportunities. I'm probably getting only 3 lakhs or 4 lakhs. Let me focus my energies on moving outside. And this is where I think we as an organization have to invest time, both with the management, with HR, and with the team. And I should also tell you that the young generation are pretty fast in grasping things because they are very good at technology, unlike us. And I have no qualms in saying that, while of course I also use technology a bit, but they are far ahead in terms of their technological knowledge. And if we can really identify what is their strength, like for example, if an employee is really good at Excel um, or maybe Microsoft Access, or that's also outdated what I'm giving you the names, and maybe Power BI or something, you could actually tell them that I want to give a project and I want you to really work on this topic with your skills, which are not really core to your functional activity, but it will the knowledge or the talent that you possess is going to definitely benefit. So it is so dynamic, believe me, that we need to look at each individual's strength, value them, motivate them, and spending time with the organization, with the team is so important. And see, most of the times we get so caught in our routine, our timelines, our compliance, our meetings. If we can really take out time and spend time with them over a cup of coffee or taking them out for a high tea or a dinner, and really understand. So that will really give you a pulse. You can motivate them. And maybe it could be a outside the office environment. And for me, I think these are the things that really helps to understand them beyond their functional responsibilities. And I'm not saying this is it's a time and tested uh, process or or an approach which is going to give you 100% results. But doing this definitely makes us in a situation or puts us in a situation which is far better than we would be had we not done this. But we need to invest time with our team, with the entire organization in different ways, in different forms, and that's only going to motivate them. And of course, the second part of the topic that I said is we need to constantly connect with HR, whether it could be, recognition to, over over the year, or recognition over a quarter, or a merit increase for a performance. But we need to constantly keep having dialogue with the leadership team, with the management, with HR, and the individual who the subject matter. Yeah, and this effort is required. And I know it's not an easy or an ordinary feat, but it requires a lot of efforts, unlike what it was a few years back. Unfortunately, that is a reality, and we all need to face it. I don't know if I have answered your question well.
Yes, ma'am. But okay, it's fine with the few better educated people, but I face more problem with my class four employees, and they are not loyal. If you the
What do you mean by
evidence,
class four? What do you mean by class four?
like very lower level of people, like peons and all these people are not loyal. Every day you just find, okay, we are not coming, we are not joining, we left the job. So these
Okay.
people are also the backbone of your organization. If they don't come and clean your office, then that's a problem. If you hand over some job to them, maybe they may not use the money properly and something like that. So this is the problem. These people are also security guards and all. These are also not satisfied with their jobs. I don't know how much to pay to them. They have
Mhm.
been paid like what is the market pay them, but
Mhm.
still people are not being very loyal to the organization. Okay, it's fine with the educated youth. They're also looking for new jobs and better opportunities. So depends upon the organization what I want to pay to them, but they're more looking for the better jobs. Then this is a problem, to trust them, to delegate the work to them. When the people just I find that they are not being interested to work hard.
See, basically here, creativity plays a very big role. Yeah. So I don't know. Since I'm on the screen, I don't know your name. May I have your good name, please?
I'm Aarti Nigam, CMA Aarti Nigam.
Aarti. Aarti ma'am, see, what happens? This is where our creative skills have to, play a role. I don't know if you have your housekeeping or the security directly, paid by your organization, or you have a service provider to whom you pay. For example, if you need 10 such people, you may have to hire 12. See, that is a cost that you need to pay. So maybe the work is only for 10, but always have 12. They may be underutilized, but at least your work doesn't suffer. So these are something that we need to creatively think. Or you tell your service provider who's giving you 10 people that, I can pay you probably something more in terms of the margin that they may charge you. They may be charging you, 10% markup on their cost. You tell them that I will pay you 11% or 12% markup. But when one person moves out, you need to immediately replace me with another person with, hardly 1 or 2 days gap. See, this is where your creativity comes into play. And all these things comes with a cost. I don't deny. But these issues needs to be understood by the management, and it needs to be addressed. And it's not about just the white collar jobs. I also understand it is about the blue collar jobs as well. So you need to put your creative hat and think, what is it that we need to do? Do we have to pay them more, or do we have to pay the service provider more who is paying these people, or have couple of people more, always more than what you really need, so that the work doesn't suffer? Because we do not want to spend our time on this work, because we need to spend our time more productive in our functional domain, right?
Yeah, true, ma'am. Thank
Yeah,
you.
so you need to wear your creative hat. So I just to move on to the next part. So having delegated the task, I already mentioned a few minutes ago about the delegation conversation. So delegation doesn't stop with giving the task. We also need to have a dialogue, communication without even micromanaging. So you need to strike the balance. Don't micromanage. Talk to the person. Maybe every day morning you say, hey, is it going fine? Do you feel that my support is required? Or do you feel you're stuck somewhere where you want me to connect to someone? And this makes the person feel very responsible. And the person understands, okay, there is a purpose for the activity that I'm doing. And the person who was given the task is also concerned about what support I might need. So this can only instill the confidence and make the person feel more valued and contribute to the task. So this is very important point. I also have this in my organization, and we always say that we need to delegate the task. And I can also share an example. So we had instances like in my organization itself that we had a resource and we thought that the resource was really good, but after a few months we realized that the resource was not good enough. And and even if I tell my team member, okay, you need to delegate the task, it's not going to work because he or she has a team member who wouldn't perform the task well. And we have also given few months of time to understand. So which means the right resource or the right support is not given to the person who wants to execute the task. And which is where we really had to, think of it creatively, go to the global and ask them, okay, see, you have given me a budget of X euros. I need a resource which is a bit more competent, a bit more expertised, and far more experienced. And then I really get the right resource to delegate. And I know it comes with a cost. So this is where I have the right resource and the right support. And it is important to assess this quantum of the resource very frequently. So I have, let's say, 10 reportees, and each of them have got 2 or 3 reportees each. So, and 2 of my direct reports do not have the right resource. So I delegate to them the task which can be done by probably 4 people, but they feel so helpless because the resources are not good enough. And maybe one of the resources is spoiling the culture or the mood or the thought of the other 2 members also. So I need to constantly be mindful and have a dialogue. Okay, are we having the right resource? So we as leaders need to ensure that they get the right resource at the right time. And then our expectation of success is very fair. Otherwise, it's an unfair approach to expect success into your system. So here, you all must be wondering why I'm using the word breakfast. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. So why breakfast? So generally, it's a trend that most of us break our fast, and breakfast is the most important meal of the day, we say, right? So how important breakfast is? I correlate feedback to breakfast because it's so important that unless and until you break your fast, you don't have the energy to perform during the day. If you don't have the performance, then your productivity is lost. The business is lost. The business is going down. So as important your breakfast is, so important is your feedback. So we need to have a feedback both on what went well, what did not really go well. In fact, last year I had a session with my team. I actually gave them a set of A4 size paper, blank A4 size paper. I went to the printer room, picked up few A4 size paper, and I told them, I don't want you to use your laptop. Just use this paper. I give you a week's time. And in one of the papers, you write the success stories, In the second paper, you write what went okay, which is like normal or routine, which is nothing great to celebrate. And in the third paper, I said what could have been better. Yeah. So because I did not want to use the word wrong for my team, I said what could have been better. It was a very new organization and it was my primordial responsibility to motivate the team. I mean, we created this organization last year, starting January 2023, right from the scratch, building the entire team. And I really need to spend the time to motivate them. So this is where when I gave them a set of three papers, I said, put your success story, put what went reasonably well, and put on the third paper what could have been better. It really made them think and come up with so many topics. And we really felt that, oh my God, in the last, let's say 9 months, we have done so much. We didn't realize, what all we have done. It's just that we have been doing. And wherever we said what could have been done better, it was really a learning. And we all knew the reasons why it did not go well. Sometimes there were not enough resources. Sometimes there was no support from global. Sometimes there was delay from the service provider. There were a number of reasons, but at least we could spend time, we could delve upon the topics, and we gave feedback to each other. It was myself giving feedback to them. They were also giving feedback to me. It was both ways, and that really helped the organization to really perform and succeed. Rewarding and recognizing efforts. I think I just mentioned a few minutes back, maybe 5 or 10 minutes back. Recognition doesn't always necessarily mean, it has to be a monetary reward. For sure, everyone looks for a monetary reward, which is something that we need to work upon in terms of their, the compensation, how it is benchmarked with the other grades, and what is the benchmark with the job description. This is a core topic as a leader, as a manager, as a superior, we all need, and which is so unique to every organization. HR as a policy. You know, 2 weeks back, and even last month, I am part of one of the professional groups of CFOs, and I saw a message that there was a post of a job. Somebody said there's an opportunity in the south of India, and they want chartered accountants with 15 years experience, and the compensation was put as 25 or 30 lakhs, and suddenly a string of messages started coming up. Like somebody said, oh, 15 lakhs experience for chartered accountant and 15 lakhs, 15 years of experience and 25 lakhs only. Are we really undervaluing chartered accountants? Are chartered accountants being paid so poorly? Why should we, underestimate ourselves? Why are, this company in the south paying so less? I don't want to name the company. And there were about 200 messages, and I don't see the group normally during the day. So I came home and I said, okay, there's some 200 messages. Let me see. Is there something about the economy that I need to know? And I say, okay, this is the message. So this is where, every company, every part of India is so different and unique in its own way. And financial recognition, definitely everybody deserves what they need to get based on their qualification, their experience, their competency, and within the framework of the HR policy of that organization. Yeah, we need to respect it. But having said that, recognizing people for all their contribution, it could be having a small team meeting and over a cup of coffee, just appreciate one or two individuals who have done, or have a quarterly recognition of employees across the organization. We have nominations, or we have a monthly meet. We can go for a dinner every month. So there are different ways and means how you need to recognize and motivate or reward the employees. Yeah, it could be simple, even a gift voucher of any of the e-commerce platform. That's also fine. It is not going to be very expensive, but the employee carries, or maybe a card, or a reward which can be preserved for posterity. It may cost you something like even only 200 or 300 rupees, but the individual values this and holds this in their desk. It adorns their drawing room. So that can also help. So, but it's very important that while we are delegating, we also need to recognize that the person who's delegated the task has gone that extra mile, put in that efforts, and made his contribution, his or her contribution, and made himself feel valued to the organization. Yeah. So it's important to do this. Here comes very, very important. And I see so many people, lacking in this topic of learning to let go. So many times we feel that we have delegated the task to someone and they need to do it as best as we would do. I hear from many times from my team members, see, let me do it, Malti, please let me do it, because I think if I delegate to my team, it will take more time. So I would rather do it myself. I wouldn't say yes every time. In case it is time critical, I said, if you have 10 tasks on hand and something is time critical, and if you feel that your team member may not be able to do it, let's say in the next couple of hours, feel free. But everything that if you feel that your team member might take more time and that's why you want to do, I go back to the first slide. I said, delegation is the fastest way to burn out. If your team member does any task, even 70 to 80% as best as you could delegate, I am sure the same person would reach from 80 to 100 in no time. And that delegated task, which has enhanced the knowledge of the team member, will come to your rescue one day or the other. But the first few times when the person doesn't perform, we as leaders have to let go. But at the same time, there is no room for repeating the same mistake over and over again. They may make one mistake, but every time you come and tell, okay, I forgot, you come and tell that I missed this point, etc. So it is very important that the person has the right framework, the right knowledge, and may not be able to deliver as best as the delegator could. But we can let go for the first instance or the couple of instances and not, reprimand them or being very harsh. Because this is where we tell them, and okay, you've made a mistake. It's not that I've delegated because I want you to make a mistake. It's okay. But then we don't want the same mistake to be repeated. So here, delegation, many people call it as a management tool. But for me, delegation is a leadership tool. Why a leadership tool? It's because you are delegating the task to your team. You are empowering them. You are making them future ready. And, I tell in a very, very colloquial way to my team, yeah, tomorrow, let's say you're sick, you're unwell. And if you have already trained your team to do most of the things that you're doing, and if you're unwell, or if there is a emergency in the family to attend to, or if you're visiting our headquarters for a week or 10, there's a timing difference. You may not be sitting here and you should not be able to do anything. Yeah, so you're busy in the meetings. But if your team member is already empowered, so that person backs up for your absence, and that person is already ready 50%, and in your absence, that person steps up and take over, let's say the balance could be 30, 40, 35%, whatever, and then you have already made them future ready. So you are nurturing your team to become future leaders. And that's why it is a leadership tool. I am really not saying that it is easy. It is a journey. You need to go through the journey jointly with the person to whom you're going to delegate the task, pondering within your own self, thinking through, delving upon topics, thinking what you can delegate. But it is definitely a path to success, both for the person who's delegating and the person to whom the task is being delegated. So I don't know if I should tell I'm from the old school of thoughts, and my team members would agree to what I say. Normally, whenever there is a new task on hand, I just go to the printer room and pick up a couple of blank A4 size papers. I put on the piece of paper, okay. I just chalk out the plan. When I say the plan, I chalk out what is the expectation. I chalk out the destination. I know, okay, this is where I need to land myself. This is where my management has asked me to do this task, or they just give me a project, just execute. So I list down the destination. Then I go back to see what is the source. What do I have in terms of the data set, in terms of the people, in terms of the time, in terms of the accesses, in terms of the tools, everything in the form of resource, you name it. And then I need to bridge the gap between these two. So sometimes the resource itself is not sufficient. I may ask for a couple of team members more because I can justify this is a destination where I want to land. So I want an additional tool to support. I may want an additional individual to support. I may want somebody on a contractual basis only for 6 months or 8 months. So the first I plan out. So I'll give you a classic example. Recently, we had one of the commercial team who are looking at the receivables position of our organization. So the commercial team sits in a different organization. And as I told you, as a new team, I delegated the task to one of my direct reports reportee. And I said, see, you're good at PowerPoint skills. I just took a piece of paper. I drew what all, that's what I normally do. I drew all that I want in a very tabular form. This is what I need. I want the customers, I want the zone, I want the overdue in 3 buckets. Overdue by 5 days, overdue by 5 to 20 days, overdue 20 to 30, overdue by more than 30 days. What is due, what is not due? And tell me out of this, what is the situation? Try to compare with the previous months. So this is totally a new task, and the person indeed performed that task, and that was so handy for us. And the key things to note here is the paper that I used to draw the image of what I want. Your success or the destination is clearly defined. There is no ambiguity. There is pure clarity of thoughts. And let me tell you, this works wonders. Take a piece of paper, not your regular notebook or anything. Take a piece of paper, just put down your thoughts. I am telling you 50% of your problem is already solved. And it does work wonders. This gives you clarity of thoughts. It gives you a path to clearly communicate your expectation. It also helps you not to micromanage because the person already has a paper which you have written what do you want. There is no question of asking you, okay, whether you want 10 columns, 5 columns, 2 columns. You've already given to them. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes to organize your thoughts, sketch it out on a piece of paper. And that paper is so handy for the person who delegates and the person who has the task which is being delegated. And this, for me, has really helped for me in my entire journey of 30 years in the corporate world. And I'm sure it will really help all of you also. So I will just wrap up quickly and then maybe we can go to the Q&A session. So just to summarize all that I have said, delegation is not just about distributing the task. It is about empowering your team. You need to build the trust within your team. You need to foster a culture of growth, a culture of responsibility, accountability, making the person feel that they are valued. Then the ownership automatically flows in. And when you do all these things, every time the outcome need not be what you expected, which means the leader has to be a bit patient with others and with one's own self. And I have also seen so many times that I need to adjust my approach to my team members' thought process. So I have one team member who say, yes, we will find a solution to everything. There is another team member who says, I think I'm already overloaded. I don't think I can. There's another team member who says, you give me a task, but I will not take the new task. I will not hear you out for the next 1 week because I'm focusing on the task that you've already given. So hold on. If I finish this task within 1 week, then I will take it from you. Otherwise, we may have to hold. You may have to look at other person. So there's a different dynamics within the organization. So I also need to adjust my approach depending on the individual because each person is so very unique in his own ways. And all these put together, yeah, is where we can become successful leaders in delegating. And it is not just delegating, in empowering the team, making the person valued. And when you empower them, the team learns, they gain knowledge, they become more confident, they became more courageous to speak because they know that in the process of delegation, they have been given the opportunity to be heard. They feel that the feedback is there is a willingness to take the feedback both the ways, and they feel that people are others can also approach them. And when we put all these things together, we are developing the next level of leaders. And I keep telling my team all the time that I should not be a bottleneck in the performance of our, our team. If you are able to take decisions when you're encountered with topics, problems, that's the best. If you feel I need to be told it's a very critical topic, feel free to tell me. If you feel I need not be told, it's very, very routine, you have already handled it, super. I have nothing to complain. But if I'm going to tell them that, okay, you come with a solution, but finally just come to me, and then I will tell you that whatever decision you have taken is right or wrong. That's not the way we work. We want to make them future ready. Tomorrow, the person should be nurtured, trained to take over my chair, and then I also progress and I have also successfully developed a next level of team. So, this is my summary of the whole delegation topic. I really take a pause here. I think I have spoken enough. And any questions for the second half of the two slides of the four? Anyone? Anyone? Any questions?
And very valuable suggestions for you from you, and we will surely follow them in our organization. Actually, I'm a practicing person, and I've got a office with the 8 to 10 people working with me,
Okay.
and few are the training students, a few are the some experienced people, and few are that I just talk about that class for people, security guards. So you face different kind of problems with different level of people. So this is quite an interesting session from you, and I'll just follow what you told. Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Aarti ma'am. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Gauri ma'am, Arpita,
Hello, ma'am.
yeah. Be good to conclude the session. I think we
Yeah.
all should have picture together.
One moment, yeah, ma'am.
अरे बापरे मी
Request all of you to please start your camera. Ma'am, you are on mute.
I said, Gauri ma'am, so nice to see you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Are others okay to switch on their camera for a few seconds just to take a picture together? Sakshi, Arpita, Akshita.
Yes, ma'am. 1 second. 1 second. Just hold on. Yes.
Arpita, your background was very beautiful. Is it your office background or your house backdrop?
Yeah, I'm in office actually.
The background was very nice. I think we can just take the picture. People, others are probably not willing to share the screen or
That's okay.
put the camera on.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Gauri
ma'am, for your session.
You.
Thank you.
And happy Navratri to all.
Happy
Thank
Navratri to
you.
all of you.
Thank you,
Happy
ma'am. Thank
Navratri
you.
to all of you. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.